Hello and welcome to another video by ES Repair. I am your host, Mr. Fix-It. In this video I'm going to show you how to create your system recovery disk. Now that we have the computer built and all your software and antivirus, internet security, everything that you need on the computer is done, now we're ready to create a system recovery disk. This disk will be used to restore your computer in the event that you have a virus attack, your hard drive crashes, any reason that you'll need to restore the computer. This will allow you to completely restore the operating system, and I'm going to show you how to do this. It's very simple. What you need to do first is you'll need to download the program. This is the AOMEI Data Backupper program. This program here is very useful. It's simple to use. If you've seen our other videos, you'll see that I've introduced you to the software. The software is free, so you can use it for anything to back up your computer. You can back up partitions, you can back up entire disks. You can clone drive from one to another. You can create a boot disk, which I will show you in this video on how to create this system recovery. Now, to get the program, you'll need to go to their website. It's www.aomeitech.com, and this will bring you to their website, and this is the main page. Now what you'll do, as you can see here, this is the program that we're going to be using. This is the one, it's the newest version, which is 3.1, and you can go ahead and download it. Just click the button and then run the program. Once it's downloaded and installed, you'll come to this screen here. This is the standard version, and it's a standard. Well, it gives you all the basic functions that you'll need, backing up the disks, partitions, if you need a clone, if you need a restore. It'll even create a system boot disk, so if your hard drive crashes or you have to replace the hard drive, then you can boot to a pre-boot environment with the software, restore your hard drive or the operating system, then you can reboot your computer. So to get started here, this allows you to, as I said, back up your data. Now it does give you some options. You can create backups and store them on USB drives like this one here. You can also use flash memory sticks or flash memory cards like this one. Or you can also use DVDs, CDs, preferably DVDs if you want to use optical discs. If you can, most of them will come in 4.7 gigabytes. The dual layers could go up to 8.5, or if you happen to have a Blu-ray drive, they can go up to 50 gigabytes per disc. One of the best things I like to use is the USB hard drive. This one here is a 2 terabyte drive. It comes in real handy because you can keep all your backups on there, which I will go through later on in other videos on the different types of backups that you could perform. Or if you want, you can just use the discs, or these little flash memory cards. Now it's very important because once we create your system recovery disk, we're also going to create an emergency boot disk that will be used to boot up your computer so you can restore the operating system. And we'll go into details on that later on. First thing we want to do now, once you decide on what you're going to back up your computer to, as you can see here on this screen here, we're going to create a backup. This backup here is going to give you an idea as to what you can do. Now, depending on how your computer is divided up, some computers have multiple partitions on them. Now you can use this software even on another computer. This will work on any computer that runs from Windows XP all the way to Windows 10. So you can use this on custom built computers, you can use it on manufactured computers. This will work on practically any computer. Now with this one here, we're going to do a system backup. The system backup backs up the operating system's partition. If your computer has multiple partitions on it, which this will show, then what you'll need to do is use a disk backup to back up the entire disk. In this case, this is what I'm going to have to do. Now you can also select specific partitions that you want to back up. If you have a single partition you want to back up, then you can back up by partition only. You can also do a file backup. The file backup allows you to pick and choose which files that you want to back up and then back those files up. Now because we're going to create a system recovery disk, I'm going to use disk backup because this computer has more than one partition installed. Now you'll come to this screen, and what you'll do is go ahead and name the recovery. Now once you have the name of it, now you can choose your step one. This tells you to select the disks, or the disks that you want to back up. You'll click this. This shows you all the disks that's on your computer. These are all your local disks. As you can see here, disk 0 is the C drive, and as you'll notice, there's two partitions on here. This is the system reserved, and this is the operating system. Now, if I wanted to, I can do both of these disks and put them in one backup. But your computer may be different. It may only have that one disk. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to select this one because this is a boot disk. I want to make sure I back up the system reserve and I back up the operating system. So if the event that my hard drive crashes, all I have to do is install a new hard drive, run the boot disk, restore this disk backup, and then I can reboot the computer. Makes it that simple. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. I'm going to choose Add. Next step is going to show you that you selected disk 0, which is your boot disk. It'll always be disk 0. Shows you the capacity of the drive and how much space is being used. Now once you have this here, now you can choose where to send it. Now here you can choose any folder, any drive. Let me go to computer. I'm going to select this one, and then you can go anywhere you want to on any drive, and this is where it'll save it. So let me go ahead and show you what happens. I'm going to save it on this, and then start backup. Now, if you want, you can also make some customizations to it. For instance, you can go to Backup Options. You can make a note. If you want to leave a note, comment, whatever you need to do to help you understand or know what's inside the backup, then you can leave that information here. This is what this is for. If you're concerned about security, you can enable encryption. You can also receive email notifications. For instance, if you're leaving a computer on and you're going to go to work, you can check your email at work. This will let you know when the backup's complete. It'll send you an email that you can check at work. Or if you want to have it if you can check your emails on your phone, well, you'll be notified that the backup's complete. The compression, this identifies how much compression's used. You could use no compression, which is faster, but it takes a lot of space. You can also use normal, which is an average compression. High compression is primarily used for if you're going to store your backups on, say, like compact on flash memory disks, or if you're going to store it on DVDs, then you want as much compression as possible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select high, because it's a little slower than the other two, but it takes up less space than the other two do. So if space is a big concern, then use high compression. Next, you can go to splitting. This allows you to, if depending on where you're going to store it, you can do automatic. So all you have to do is select the drive that it's going to store it to, and the software will automatically split when the disk becomes full, so you can insert a new disk. Or if you want to, you can choose a custom size. If there's a custom size that you want to use, if you want to use a gigabyte each, then you can. Or if you want to do a predetermined size, you can choose like CD drive, which is the average one 650 megabytes, 700 megabytes. If you want to do a FAT32, which is 4,000 megabytes. If you want to do a DVD drive, which is 4.8, well actually it's 4.7, but or if you use zip disks or zip drives. So you can choose which ones that you can use. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use DVD. These are the DVDs that you can use. This allows you to split them up so you can store them on DVDs. Now you choose OK, and now everything's ready. We have our task name. This is what it's going to be called. This is disk 0. This is your boot drive. This is where it's going to be stored. Then once you have your settings set up, now you can choose Start Backup. Now it's going to come to your screen here. It's going to show you what it's currently processing, depending on how much it's going to perform. Down here it shows you how much it's processed, how much total to process. This also shows you the speed, how much data it's moving, and this gives you an estimate time of how much time is going to remain. Now if you're going to go away and go to work or something, you can also have it check the integrity of the backup, make sure everything is good, and you can have it shut down your computer. So if you're going to have to leave and let it back up, you can select this box and it will turn the computer off when the task is complete. Now this right here gives you the current status, and all we have to do now is just wait for it to get complete, and we'll go to the next task. Now that the program's done, just click Finish, and you'll be brought back to the main screen. Now as you can see here, here is the backup. Shows you the date and the time that it was backed up, the title of the backup or the task. You can choose Restore. You can also choose Backup, and I will go into details about these here later on in other videos. If you go under Advanced, you can choose Schedule Task. You can edit the backup. You can explore what's in it. You can check the image to make sure everything's okay. You can even locate the image. If you click here, it will show you the image. As you see here, these are two parts because I broke it down to a DVD, which is 4.7. As you can see here, it broke them down into two fairly equal pieces, which is fine. And you can also, if you decide to delete it, you can delete it. Or if you want to, you can look at the properties. It gives you the task name, shows you when it was created, last time it was backed up, where it's backed up to, and what are any comments that you had installed. This one here shows you the type of backup, which is full. This is the source. This shows you everything that's inside where the backup came from. And if you wanted to, you can view the logs. The logs show you the status, if it was failed or if it was successful. And this here gives you more details about it. Now that your backup is created, now we have to create a emergency boot disk. Now, the program here, if you just want to restore the operating system's partition, then you can just run this program under utilities to restore, and then it will automatically restore it. The easiest way to do this is because what happens is if you're going to restore the operating system or the disk, the computer has to reboot into a pre-boot environment. And in order to do that, you have to get it to boot. Well, since you're going to have to create a boot disk anyway, the best way to do this is just to use a CD. I'm using this one here. This is just a standard CD that I'm going to use, or a CDR, and I'm going to use this to create a boot disk. Now, once I get a created boot disk, I'll show you how these work. So let me go ahead and get the disk in a drive, and I'll show you how to create these. Now, once you put a blank CDR into the drive, you're going to come up to this window. Just close the window. This is for Windows. We're not going to use Windows to do the boot disk. Now that the blank disk is inside, what we're going to do now is we're going to go down here to Utilities, and then we're going to create a bootable media that you see here. Now, it gives you two choices. You can use Linux, or you can use Windows PE, which is the pre-boot environment. Depending on the operating system that you're using, if you're using Windows 7 or Windows 8, or perhaps even Windows 10 now, you can use the Windows PE. The Linux version is the easiest to use. There's really nothing you have to do special to it. Windows PE, you may have to install drivers and things like that for your computer. So if you're not sure what you're doing, then just use the Linux one. It's the easiest version to use. This is just a pre-boot environment. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a Windows PE, and then choose Next. Now, it identifies that your computer for Windows does have the capability to create a pre-boot environment disk. If it doesn't, you won't be able to use the software, but it will show you where to download it. If this is the case, to save you the trouble and the hassle of installing the kits to boot Windows, use the Linux. That'll be much easier for you. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Next. Now, it's going to ask you where do you want to create your pre-boot environment. What boot disk do you want to use? Do you want to use a CD, DVD, or if you want to use a USB device or drive like this, these little flash memory cards, you can use these to boot a computer. Most of the time, the USB hard drives will not boot a computer. But you can use a CDR, DVD-R, or you can use a flash memory module to boot your computer up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to burn to CD. If you want to, you can also use Export ISO, which is a file that is used to burn disks. If you're wanting to create this for another computer, then you can use this to create an ISO, go to your other computer, and then burn it to a disk if you wanted. Now, keep in mind, if your computer does not have an optical drive, a CD, DVD drive, then the best bet to use is a flash memory card, like an SD card, a USB memory stick, jump drive, it doesn't matter. They all work the same. So if your computer doesn't have an optical drive, then you use a memory stick or jump drive. If you do have a CD, then go ahead and use a CD. Now, since I've got a CD in the drive, I'm going to go ahead and select my CD drive. and then choose Next. Now it's going to create the image and then burn to the disk. Now, as you can see, now it shows that the operation is complete. There's no problems creating the bootable disk. Now we can click Finish. And now I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we're going to test our new disk. So what I'm going to do here, just go down to Start. And then I'm going to restart. So now we're going to test the disk. Now, as you can see at the bottom, it's starting to load the files. Now, as you can see, it's bringing up the screen. This is showing you the disk is working. Everything is good so far. It's going to load the program, and then here you go. Now, this is what the pre-boot or the pre-boot environment looks like. So, if you ever had to restore your computer, this is what it's going to look like. It's pretty much the same as it was in the operating system, and this will allow you to restore your computer. So now that we know that the disk is okay, everything's working, now we can go ahead and exit out and go back into the operating system and get ready to burn disk to store your backups on. Now that we've checked out the boot disk and it works, next thing we need to do is, now you have a case to put your emergency boot disk in. And now you need to label it. Simply just use a magic marker like this one and write on the disk what the disk is for. And this way, if anything happens, you have an emergency boot disk that you can use to reboot your disk or reboot your computer so you can get your computer restored. Now, once you have your disks or your backup complete and your disks burned, now be sure that at the end of the procedure, if you haven't checked this box to check the integrity of the disk, make sure that you do test the disk and the backup to make sure that they're okay. And especially if you're going to put them on flash memory, or if you're going to put them on CD or DVDs, make sure that you have checked to make sure everything burned correctly, because the worst thing you want is the computer to crash and your backups no longer work. So double check, make sure that the integrity is good, make sure that the software you can. If you want to check an image, we'll go ahead and choose Finish. You can go back and then choose Check Image. Or you can go under Utilities and check Image. And this will allow you to make sure that your backup is intact. So in the event that something does go wrong, you're not scrambling trying to get your backups to work. That will show that they work. Well, this concludes this video. I've showed you how to create your system recovery after you built your new computer. This will also work if you have a store-bought manufactured computer. This process will work, and this way, if anything happens, all you have to do is be able to restore your operating system the way it was to the backup. Well, I'm your host, Mr. Fix-It. Thank you for watching.